Hey y'all, I'm JD and welcome back to the Dimensions Woodworks Woodshop. Today we've got a great project build for you to add a lot of versatility to your workbench. We're going to be working on a sliding Deadman, which is going to give you a whole lot more options when working with longer stock on your traditional woodworking style workbench. Let's get started.
This video is brought to you by Woodcraft, helping you to make woodwork since 1928. So the first thing we want to do is go ahead and set up your table saw blade to tilt at a 45-degree angle. Now the first piece we're going to make is the piece that is going to be the runner for the Deadman to slide across. We're going to make two 45-degree cuts to meet at a point at the top of the board. Then, just to keep it from hanging up, we're going to take the blade back to 90 and cut the top flat. It's much easier to work with this runner piece while it's still attached to the rest of the board that it comes with, and in just a moment we're going to cut the runner away from the rest of the board. Now with the blade tilted back to 90 degrees, we're going to cut the runner away at about 2 inches from the top of that V. Now with our blade tilted at 45 once again, we're going to cut that opposing V into the bottom of the piece that will actually become the Deadman. Just a little test fit to make sure that it slides well and everything looks good. Now that we have the bottom taken care of, we need to cut the L-shaped tenon to the top that will ride in a channel that will be cut into the bottom side of the top of the workbench. Now, depending on the thickness of the material you choose to use for your sliding Deadman, in this case I just used a basic 2x12 because my bench was made from southern yellow pine, you will have to make sure that you know exactly where this dado will be cut to match the bottom runner. For this cut, I just took light passes several times until I reached the ultimate thickness or depth for this dado in the top of the workbench. To allow the Deadman to slide all the way to the leg, you will have to remove this portion of the dado with a Forstner bit and some chisels just to clean up the cut. Now we can turn our attention back to the piece that will become the Deadman itself. I just gave myself a couple of reference marks a certain distance in from the edge and just kind of sketched it out to get the overall look I was going for. You could get far more precise in this process. You could use a set of French curves and make more measurements along the length of the Deadman, but I chose just to do it freehand and it turned out looking pretty good. Now while I still have a rectangular board and I can reference all the edges, I went ahead and marked out the holes for my dog holes that will travel the distance of the Deadman. I offset the left and right rows by 1 inch so that everywhere a hole falls, the hole on the opposing side falls in the middle. You could go even more in-depth with this process and drill another set of dog holes down the center, but I felt like the options that I gave myself here were good enough. Now we can begin to cut out the rough shape of the Deadman itself. I did this on the bandsaw, but in certain places it's a little bit difficult because I just don't have the cut capacity on my particular bandsaw to make certain cuts. So I just took my time and whittled away as much material as I could and then came back later and finished it up with a little bit of sanding. And this is a good demonstration of some of the things I had to do. I had to flip it over on the back side to finish out some of those cuts. But you can make it work, and you could also get it done with a jigsaw if you don't have a bandsaw. then I just sanded all the edges down, got rid of all those bandsaw marks with a little 150 grit, and really smoothed out the shape. Now with all the sanding done, we can begin to fit the Deadman in place. You have a couple options here. You can glue down your bottom rail, but that will permanently affix the Deadman to the bench itself. Or you could go the route I went and use screws to attach it, so that if it, for any reason down the road I want to remove it or modify the Deadman, all you have to do is take the screws out of the bottom rail and you can take the Deadman away from the bench. You can see here in the shot, you want to make sure that those screw heads are countersunk really well so that they don't catch and hang up the Deadman as it slides left and right. Now it's time to ensure that the Deadman has a lot less friction as it slides back and forth. It slid pretty well without the aid of any wax, but I went ahead and waxed the bottom rail as well as the top channel or dado that L-shaped tenon rides in on the top side. Now I'm going to show you guys exactly what this Deadman is used for. You have a couple of options for your dog holes. Here I'm using a traditional holdfast, the Wood River Small holdfast that fits in a 3/4 size bench dog hole. Here I'm going to use a Scandinavian holdfast that has the same size hole, but this one screws down to get it a little bit tighter against the edge of the bench. This Sjoberg Scandinavian style holdfast works great for this application. Now I have the material supported on both ends. The far left is supported by the vise. The right side is supported by the holdfast, securing the slab with the Deadman. Now I can do draw knife work like I'm showing here with this live edge slab, getting rid of that bark, and you can see as I'm taking it away, there's no wobble, it doesn't shake, it's held quite securely to the side of the bench. And because I made myself a hybrid bench, you see me working here on the Roubo side, but I could also do the same thing on the opposing side, which is set up like a traditional Nicholson style bench. It just has a wide apron and several dog holes where I could use 2 of those holdfasts at the same time and achieve the same effect. If you'd like to check out how I built this workbench, I will put a card with a link to that video here.
Thanks so much for watching, y'all. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified when we release new videos. And until next time, don't forget to get better every day.